I think that there's a lot of things changing at Apple right now, and some are going to show.
Steve Jobs is remembered as a tech visionary who changed the world with Apple's revolutionary products. But behind the myth of the genius innovator lies a far more complex and human story. One that his children are only now revealing, 14 years after his death. These revelations challenge everything we thought we knew about Jobs, not just as a leader and innovator, but as a father and a man wrestling with his own flaws and regrets. Steve Jobs was born on February 24, 1955, in San Francisco and was adopted by Paul and Clara Jobs, a working-class couple in Silicon Valley. His father, a machinist, introduced him early to electronics and craftsmanship, planting the seeds for his future obsession with design and precision. As a young adult, Jobs briefly worked at Atari before embarking on a spiritual journey to India, experimenting with LSD and embracing Zen Buddhism. These experiences deeply influenced his minimalist design philosophy and intuitive approach to innovation. In 1980, Apple went public, making Jobs a multimillionaire overnight. But wealth never slowed his ambition. In 1984, he introduced the Macintosh, the first commercially successful personal computer with a graphical user interface, making technology accessible and user-friendly. Around the same time, Jobs acquired the computer graphics division of Lucasfilm, which became Pixar Animation Studios, expanding his influence into storytelling and entertainment. The mid-1990s marked a dramatic return for Jobs. After Apple acquired his company Next in 1996, he was named interim CEO in 1997. His comeback was met with skepticism, but he quickly reshaped Apple's strategy, launching the colorful and innovative iMac in 1998. This was the beginning of Apple's resurgence, driven by Jobs' uncompromising vision for design and user experience. Jobs' innovations didn't stop there. The iPod in 2001 revolutionized how people listen to music, and the iTunes Store transformed the music industry. In 2006, Pixar was sold to Disney, making Jobs Disney's largest individual shareholder. Then came the iPhone in 2007, a device that redefined the smartphone and changed how people interact with technology. The iPad followed in 2010, creating a new product category and solidifying Apple's dominance. Yet, behind these successes was a leadership style that was both inspiring and controversial. Jobs was famous for his reality distortion field, a term coined by colleagues to describe his ability to convince people that the impossible was possible. This mindset pushed Apple employees to achieve breakthroughs but also created a high-pressure environment where criticism was harsh and public humiliation was not uncommon. Many who worked with him described the experience as both mentally exhausting and transformative. Jobs' personal life was equally complex. He openly admitted to experimenting with LSD in his youth, crediting it as one of the most profound experiences of his life that shaped his creative vision. However, his relationships with his children were strained, especially with his eldest daughter, Lisa Brennan Jobs. Born in 1978, Lisa was initially denied by Jobs, who even claimed he was sterile during a paternity suit. Though he eventually acknowledged her and provided financial support, emotional distance persisted for years. 14 years after Jobs' death, his children have begun to speak openly, confirming many long-standing rumors. At a private Apple memorial event in 2025, Eve Jobs, his youngest daughter, shared that their father tried to be present in his later years, apologized to Lisa, and regretted the distance he had kept. Reed Jobs, his son, echoed this sentiment, describing a man learning to be vulnerable and expressing genuine love for his family. The children also addressed rumors about Jobs' inheritance. Contrary to popular belief, they confirmed that they were not left vast wealth. Instead, their mother, Laureen Powell Jobs, and Steve emphasized independence and purpose over entitlement. Reed Jobs has publicly spoken about funding his cancer research largely independently, and Eve Jobs reiterated that their true inheritance was their father's conviction, creativity, and standards. Another long-debated topic was whether Jobs left personal messages or guidance for his children. Erin Sienna Jobs, who usually stays out of the spotlight, revealed in a 2025 interview that Jobs wrote personal letters to each child. These letters were not grandiose but intimate, expressing what he loved about them and what he hoped they would remember. These private notes offer a glimpse into a man who, despite his flaws, sought to connect with his family in his final days. Jobs' health struggles were also marked by controversy. Diagnosed with a rare form of pancreatic cancer in 2003, he delayed conventional treatment for nearly 9 months, opting for alternative therapies. Medical experts criticized this decision, suggesting it may have shortened his life. Jobs later expressed regret for the delay, but he remained private about his condition, taking multiple medical leaves and undergoing a liver transplant in 2009. His final months saw him step down as Apple's CEO in August 2011, handing over leadership to Tim Cook. Jobs passed away on October 5, 2011, at age 56, leaving behind a legacy that reshaped technology and culture worldwide. Beyond his personal and health struggles, Jobs' tenure at Apple was not without corporate controversies. He was involved in a secret non-poaching agreement with other Silicon Valley giants, limiting employee mobility and wage competition. The stock options backdating scandal also cast a shadow over Apple's financial practices during his leadership, though Jobs was not formally charged. Jobs' product decisions sometimes sparked fierce debate. His ban on Adobe Flash on iOS devices was controversial but rooted in concerns over performance and security. His insistence on a closed App Store ecosystem drew criticism for stifling competition and creativity. He also ended Apple's Mac clone program to maintain tight control over hardware and software, a move that limited consumer choice but ensured a consistent user experience. In sum, Steve Jobs was a man of contradictions, a visionary who revolutionized industries, a demanding leader who pushed people to their limits, a father who struggled with emotional distance but sought reconciliation, and a patient who made flawed health decisions but left a lasting legacy of innovation. Now, 14 years after his death, the voices of his children add new depth to the story of Steve Jobs. They reveal a man who was not just a genius or a tyrant, but a human being grappling with his imperfections, striving to leave behind more than just products, a legacy of purpose, creativity, and love.